Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Now today I'm going to be making some peach posset tarts. So this is going to be, or tartlets in fact, this is going to be little pastry cases, and into that I'm going to put some peach posset. Now posset is basically a puree with some cream which has been heated for 5 minutes with sugar, and then the puree is going to be poured into it, and as it cools down it will firm up nicely. So basically I'm going to make the pastry cases, blind bake them, then brush them with egg white and bake them again to make them, bake them for an extra minute to make them sort of waterproof so that then the posset can go in. So the first thing we're going to do is to get on and make the pastry cases, and for that I have 300 grams of flour, 30 grams of caster sugar, 2 tablespoons of cold milk, 1 medium egg, that would be large in the USA, and 125 grams of chilled butter. Now I should say this is going to make about twice as much pastry as I need, but I will save the remainder and use it for something else later. So we'll put the flour and the sugar into the food processor. You could do this by rubbing it between your fingers with the butter, but I find it easier and much quicker to do it in the processor. Then we'll add the chilled butter, and then we're going to just process that until it forms a fine breadcrumb like texture. Okay, so that's good enough, and then I'm going to put the egg in and process it until that's all combined. And then I'm going to add the milk and process it again. So now that's started to clump together, so I'm going to tip that out onto my work surface and just pull that into a nice dough ball. So we'll just pull that together. We don't want to work it very much. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that up in plastic wrap and put it into the fridge and chill it for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes I'll come back and we'll roll that out and line our tartlet cases ready for baking. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and our pastry is chilled, and I've used about 2/3 of the pastry, I think, that I made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out 6 balls into these little tartlet cases. They're silicone cases, and I'm going to roll the pastry out quite thinly so that it overlaps the edges. So that's about 1/4 of an inch thick, I think. And I'm going to drop that in as best I can. Like that. And then with a fork, I'm going to just prick the base, so dock it, and this is to stop it from rising as we blind bake it. And then I've got some parchment paper which I've cut and scrunched up because it makes it easier to go into the pastry case. I'm going to put that in. Then I'm going to put some baking beans in, and then that's ready to bake in the oven. And I'm going to do that with all 6. Then I'm going to bake them in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. The oven is preheating at 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And after 10 to 15 minutes, as they start to turn a golden brown, I'm going to take them out and brush the insides with egg white. And then I'm going to put them back in the oven for 1 minute. That will cook the egg white and it will actually seal it so that when we put the posset in later, it shouldn't seep into the pastry. So I'll be back with you when I've got the pastries, the cases all blind baked. Okay, I'm back with you, and I baked our pastry cases for 15 minutes. Then I took a knife and gently sliced the overlap off, and I brushed the inside with egg white and baked them for another minute so that that's now created a bit of a seal. So I'm going to set those to one side. And the next thing to do is to make the posset. Now, for that I have 600 grams of double cream, or heavy cream. I have 150 grams of caster sugar, and I have 140 grams of peach puree. Now you could use lemon puree. I'd use about 100 grams of lemon puree. Or lemon juice, because lemon juice is much stronger than peach. Or you could use other things like raspberry puree or whatever, or passion fruit puree is one that I've done in the past. So what we have to do with those ingredients, we have to put the cream and the sugar into a saucepan and bring it to the boil gently, and then let it gently boil for 3 minutes, so the sugar is fully dissolved into the cream. And after 3 minutes, we're going to pour the peach puree into the saucepan, mix it around, and then pour it into a jug to cool down. So I'm not going to show you the boiling the cream because you know how to do that, but I'll come back to you once our cream is boiled and we're ready to add the puree. Okay, so our cream and sugar has been boiling gently for 3 minutes. Now I'm going to pour in the peach puree, and I'm going to stir that around. To get that combined. And then I'm going to pour that into a jug. And I'm going to let that cool down for a little while, because I don't want to put it into our tart cases while it's very hot. And then once it's cooled down, I'll come back and we'll put some into our tart cases, and it should then begin to, as it cools completely, it will thicken to a lovely, rich, silky smooth texture. And I have a couple of little glasses or plastic glasses here, which I will use for the excess, because I'll have more than I need for these 6 tart cases. So I'll be back with you just as soon as it's cooled down enough. I'll just show you, you can see that it's got much thicker just in that short time that it's been off the heat and had the puree added to it. So I'll be back with you when it's time to add the posset into the tart cases. Okay, so I've let this cool down just a little bit, and it's already beginning to set, so I'm going to have to put it into the pastry cases now. So I'll just pour it in. And then I'm just going to give them a little shake. To let them level off. And they will settle down. Now I've also put some into the couple of little glasses there because I had that excess. So I'm going to let those cool down a little bit further, and then when they've cooled, I'm going to put them into the fridge and let them chill for at least 3 hours. Then I'll come back and show you what the results are, and we'll have a little taste of them. Well, I'm back with you, and it's about 3 hours later, and our tarts have chilled in the fridge. So this is what they look like, and I'll just have a taste of this one. They do taste very good. That posset is rich and creamy, with just the little hint of peach from the puree, with a nice short pastry as well. Very, very good indeed. So I hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and I should just remind you that you could put lemon juice in instead of peach puree, or you can put passion fruit puree or whatever you want, but it's very, very good. And so I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on to go to the recipe, and I'll put a link to that below the video as well, and I will be back with you in the very near future with another recipe. So until then, happy baking.